Have you ever wondered that perhaps the problems in your life that seem never-ending are actually sustained by your own energy? If the moment you wake up, your mind automatically drifts to the same thoughts and the same worries, you might unknowingly be feeding your problems. Every problem needs your attention to continue existing. The moment you stop focusing on it, it loses its breath. But because of a habit you've mistaken for responsibility over the years, you keep bringing it back to life every single day. Because everything begins with just two words: I am. This is not merely a sentence. It is the creative core of consciousness. The moment you say, I am, the universe begins to turn that identity into real it. Why? If you say, I am weak, you summon weakness. If you say, I am healthy, you invite healing into yours. Elf. Every I am statement is the architecture of your future. This is why thinking about your problems does not solve them. On the contrary, it gives them life. If, upon opening your eyes in the morning, your mind automatically drifts to yesterday's argument, or while sipping your coffee you think, why do I keep experiencing the same things? You are unknowingly reprogramming your old reality. Nothing can exist without your attention. This is the simplest yet most powerful law of the universe. Your life shapes itself around what your mind is occupied with. The more you dwell on a challenge, the more energy you give it. The more you analyze an illness, the more alive it remains. The more you focus on a lack, the greater it grows. Because the universe doesn't hear what you don't want. It hears what you notice. Even when you say, I never want this, you are calling its energy into your experience. If these words are creating a subtle vibration within you, that is no coincidence. You are standing at the doorway of inner transformation. Every transmission on this channel exists to reunite you with your own original power. When you like the video, subscribe, and share your reflections. You help us expand this field of awareness together. Because attention multiplies when shared, just like light. Before we continue, let's make one thing clear. Noticing a problem is one thing. Constantly thinking about it is something else. Noticing is observation. Constant thinking is feeding it. The difference is as vast as fate versus free will. When you withdraw your attention from something, it begins to dissolve. Because the only source that sustains its existence is your focus. The moment you redirect the projector of your mind, the darkness fades on its own. No condition is powerful on its own. Illness cannot exist without the belief, I am sick. Poverty breathes through the thought, I don't have money. Even chaos in relationships thrives on the echo, I am not worthy. And all of it unravels the moment your attention leaves. Inner transformation is not a battle. There is no need to fight yourself or destiny. You only need to ask one question. Which I am are you watering? I am unlucky. I am late. I am not enough. Each one is a seed planted in the soil of your mind. And from this moment forward, only you decide what is allowed to grow. Because attention is energy, life begins wherever you direct it. The mind is inclined to repeat the orbit it has grown accustomed to. Waking up with the same thoughts every morning is not destiny. It is only a consciousness loop set on autopilot. The moment you say, here we go again, you feed that old story with energy once more. Because the first movement of the mind sets the direction of your day. If you begin your morning with today will be difficult, life begins to shape itself to confirm that inner command. Yet at that very moment, with the slightest awareness, if you whisper, I choose peace today, the vibration shifts. Because the universe does not hear your words, it feels the vibration behind them. The human mind cannot exist without defining itself. Saying, this is who I am, is the primary reflex of consciousness. That is why every I am statement is the beginning of a creation. Say, I am tired, and the body produces fatigue. Say, I am free. Even your cells expand. The mechanism is this simple and this powerful. All creation begins with a silent inner, I exist. The universe does not listen with ears. It listens to frequency. And your thoughts determine the direction of that frequency. So understand this. Every word that follows I am is a command. I am a failure, command. I am unlucky, command. I am worthy of love, again a command. And the outer world immediately moves to reflect the identity you have declared within. This is not a theory. It is a law operating in every scene of your life. Many people object. But look at what I've lived through. How can you say I created it? Because humans have been conditioned to perceive the outer world as separate from themselves. Yet the world is nothing but a mirror. Raging at the mirror does not change the reflection. If you want the reflection to change, you must change your expression. This is how clear the law is. Now take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Recall the thought that has occupied you most in recent days. And simply say, I release the need to feed you. This is not a declaration of war. It is the beginning of freedom. Not suppression, but withdrawal of attention. It is choosing to no longer carry the weight. For true resolution rarely begins by adding something new, but by no longer feeding what drains you. What you withdraw your attention from loses its existence, like darkness before light. You turn on the light, and you do not fight the dark. It simply disappears. This is where real power begins. No external condition is as strong as your inner declaration of I am. Fate, luck, circumstances, all are echoes of your I am. And now you know, you can change it. You can choose a new definition. I am at peace. I am enough. I am safe. The mind may not believe it first. The old identity will try to call you back. It will whisper, but that is not reality. Yet what you call reality is merely the condensed form of a thought you have repeatedly fed. Withdraw your attention, and it dissolves. And one day you suddenly realize, why did I ever believe that? That is the moment transformation begins. For no problem can survive once it no longer receives your constant attention. When the mind grows quiet, your natural state emerges. A free, simple, expansive consciousness. This is your true nature. This is not an idea. It is an invitation to a living experience. You need only shift your attention from the echoes of the past to the creation of the future. The mind is inclined to repeat the orbit it is familiar with. Waking up with the same thoughts every morning is not fate. It is merely a consciousness looping on autopilot. The moment you say, here we go again, the same problem, you are re-energizing that old story. Because the very first movement of your mind sets the direction of your entire day. If, in the morning, you declare, today will be difficult, life immediately rearranges itself to confirm that command. Yet in the same moment, with a gentle awareness, if you simply say, today, I choose peace, the frequency shifts. Because the universe does not hear your words. It hears the vibration beneath them. The human mind cannot exist without defining itself. Saying, I am, is the most primal reflex of consciousness. That is why every I am statement is the beginning of creation. When you say, I am tired, your body produces fatigue. When you say, I am free, even your cells expand. The mechanism is this simple and this powerful. All creation begins with the silent affirmation, I exist. The universe does not listen with ears. It listens through vibration. Your thoughts determine the direction of that vibration. So understand this. Whatever follows the words, I am, becomes a command. I am a failure, command. I am unlucky, command. I am worthy of love, also a command. And the external world begins to reflect the definition you gave yourself. This is not theory. It is a law operating in every scene of your life. Many say, "But look at what I've gone through." How can you say I created it? Because humanity has been conditioned to believe the outside world is separate. Yet the world is nothing but a mirror. Being angry at the mirror does not change the reflection. If you want the reflection to change, you must change your face. This is how clear the law is. Now take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Bring to mind the thought that has occupied you the most recently, and simply say, "I am done feeding you." This is not an act of war. It is the beginning of liberation. Not suppression, but withdrawal of attention. Not carrying the burden, but finally putting it down. Because true resolution begins not by adding something new, but by no longer feeding what no longer serves you. What loses your attention loses its power. Just as darkness cannot survive when light is turned on. You do not fight the darkness. You simply bring light. This is where real power begins. No external condition is stronger than the inner definition of I am. Fate, luck, circumstances, all are echoes of that declaration. And now you know you can change it. You can choose a new definition. I am peaceful. I am enough. I am safe. The mind may not believe it immediately, because your old identity will try to call you back. It will whisper, but the facts are different. Yet what you call fact is only the densified form of the thought you kept feeding. Withdraw your attention, and it dissolves. And one day, you suddenly realize, why did I ever believe that? That is the moment transformation begins. Because no problem can survive without your continuous attention. When a mind grows silent, your natural state reveals itself. Free, spacious, effortless awareness. That is your true nature. This is not an idea. It is an invitation to a living experience. All it requires is turning your attention from the echoes of the past to the creation of the future. Identity is a silent answer to the question, who am I? And that answer shapes the entirety of your life. The mind rarely expresses this answer in words, yet it echoes in the posture of your body, in the relationships you choose, in the decisions you make. A mind that says, I am powerless, drops its shoulders without noticing. One who believes, I am not enough, subconsciously withdraws their worth at every opportunity. These invisible identities are like silent chains woven around the soul. But here is the beauty. None of them are permanent. Every identity is constructed through attention, and it begins to dissolve the moment attention is withdrawn. Humans believe in their own story so deeply, they cannot even imagine the possibility of anything beyond it. I've always been like this, they say. This is my fate. Yet these sentences are nothing more than echoes of thoughts repeated over and over in the past. Fate is not a fixed script. It is a file of consciousness rewritten with every moment of awareness. Transformation doesn't happen suddenly. It happens through seeing. For awareness is a silent, yet revolutionary act. Letting go of an identity does not mean erasing it. It simply means no longer fusing yourself with it. Even the thought, I am a failure, offers a strange sense of safety. Because what is familiar, even if painful, feels more comfortable than uncertain happiness. That is why so many people cling to their own suffering, because that suffering gives them a sense of existence. But the secret lies precisely here. When you release an identity, you lose nothing. You simply silence the noise, and in that silence, the true self waiting for you can finally be heard. The mind will resist to protect the old identity. Don't rush. Be realistic. Show me proof first, it says. But that voice is actually the voice of fear, because fear perceives every step toward the unknown as a threat. Yet the new identity does not ask you to prove it. It only asks to be chosen. The moment you say, I am no longer this, one door closes, and at that exact moment, an unseen door opens. The problem is that most people remain suspended between these two doors. One foot in the past, the other in the future, yet moving in neither direction. But change is only a choice. The moment you withdraw your foot from the story you've already lived, the new world reveals itself. I am no longer afraid. I am no longer my past. I live in peace. These are not magic words. They are definitions that program consciousness. They must be spoken not with a hunger for proof, but with a consciousness of choice. Not from a mindset of I must justify this, but from a knowing of I choose this. For a single I am, whispered in inner silence, is more powerful than 1,000 external noises. And in time, you understand. There is no need to try to change the world. You only need to redefine yourself, because the world responds precisely according to your definition. Define yourself as a victim, and circumstances will tighten around you. Define yourself as a creator, and the very same circumstances become opportunity. The universe does not reflect you to punish you, but to reveal you to yourself. Every experience whispers, look, this is how you are defining yourself right now. And the law of consciousness is simple. Two identities cannot exist at the same time. The one you choose becomes your reality. When a person chooses a path, all other possibilities naturally dissolve. True transformation does not begin with saying, I am changing, but with the realization, I am no longer who I used to be. For the old identity resists before exiting the stage. It summons you back into old pains, demands proof, plants doubt in your mind. Yet these are nothing but the final vibrations of an energy that has already passed. An echo may cause a brief tremor on the wall, but silence always wins in the end. All you're asked to do is remain within that silence. The new self will take root on its own, simply because you are now giving it your attention. One day you realize, what once suffocated you no longer affects you. The problems that once felt enormous now feel meaningless. Because you no longer react. You simply observe. And at that precise moment, the true self reveals itself, deep, vast, free, and filled with peace. This is the soul's return to its source. There is a forgotten truth in our pursuit of change. Years are spent trying to fix the outside. More effort is made, more plans are drawn, yet the result remains the same. Because the outer world is nothing but an echo of the inner thought. You cannot touch the mirror to change the reflection. You are the source of the image. Whatever the mind contemplates, it brings into existence. Thinking of a problem constantly does not solve it. It keeps it alive. Every repetition feeds it a little more energy. Like a sculptor working with stone, with each strike, the form becomes clearer. The difference is, you are sculpting unconsciously most of the time. The moment you begin to think consciously, that is when true art begins. For awareness is the invisible hand that directs thought. The energy of the mind is like light. Wherever it looks, that place becomes illuminated. To see what you're focusing on is to see the direction of your destiny. The longer you think about an obstacle, the larger it becomes. Because thought fuels it. When you withdraw your attention from something, it eventually loses meaning, because the light is no longer there. Thus, you do not need to fight it. You only need to turn your light elsewhere. Most people misunderstand this and ask, if I don't give it my attention, wouldn't I be ignoring it? No, this is not avoidance. It is the declaration of freedom. Not suppression, not denial, but allowing it to dissolve consciously. Think like water. When you try to grasp it tightly, it slips away. But when you open your hands, it rests there for a moment, then naturally finds its path. The flow of consciousness is the same. Resistance is born when you try to control it. When you release it, it returns to its natural order. There is only one truth the ancient teachings have repeated for centuries. You magnify what you think about, but very few truly live this. Because even when the mind thinks it understands, it continues its habits. Every morning when you ask, what will happen with this problem? You are affirming its existence to the universe. When you ask, why isn't my work progressing? The universe hears it not as a complaint, but as a command. For the universe does not hear words. It hears frequency. Whatever emotion your attention vibrates in, your reality begins forming from there. When your inner frequency changes, even if the external world remains the same, everything begins to appear different. The same city, the same people, but you are in a different state of consciousness. And at some point, you understand, nothing that ever burdened you is truly outside of you. Sometimes you believe there are impossible walls standing before you, when in truth, those walls are nothing but an invisible boundary woven by your own thoughts. And you don't even need to fight to break it. Simply saying, "I no longer give you my attention," is enough. Because everything survives only through attention. The moment attention is withdrawn, it begins to dissolve, like mist quietly vanishing before the sun. When this awareness awakens, the mind slowly falls silent. And that silence, though it may seem like emptiness, is actually the womb of creation. For every new thought first sprouts within a silent field of consciousness. To repeat a thought endlessly is to solidify it. But the stillness between thoughts is the doorway to infinite possibility. It is within that field of emptiness that the universe breathes. Your very sense of I is reshaped there. The nature of the mind is movement. Thoughts come and go. But you are not the thought itself. You're the awareness that perceives it. The moment you remember this, you are no longer a slave to thought. When the mind says, "I am not enough," you simply observe a temporary thought. And in that moment, the chain breaks. Because identification has ended. Thoughts are guests. You are the host. You alone decide when the door opens or closes. This is true freedom. As the mind grows quieter, your being expands. Silence is the natural state of consciousness. In that space, there is no past, no future, only now. And in this now, all possibilities exist at once. Transformation is not a process. It is an instantaneous leap. Time itself is merely the mind's resistance. When resistance dissolves, change happens in a single breath. Inner silence is the birth of a new self. The old dissolves. The true essence takes its place. You no longer try to become. You simply are. Effortless, calm, yet holding a profound power. Think back. Were the greatest shifts in your life born from intense thinking, or from the sacred stillness between thoughts? For thinking only rearranges the past, but silence invites the new. Silence is not to be feared. It is pure rebirth. And in that moment you realize, no problem outside is an independent force. They all feed only on your attention. Withdraw it, and like a plant without sunlight, they fade. What remains is the unlabeled, limitless, identity-free I. Simply I am. These two words hold the greatest creative power in the universe. Because that I is no longer limited, it is infinite. Then one day you understand, there is nothing left to strive for. Because you finally see, what you were seeking was never outside. Reaching outward is the confession of lack. The more desperately you want something, the more you declare you do not have it. Yet true creation is born only from the deep acceptance that rises out of silence. I already am. This is the purest prayer of existence. The universe does not hear words. It hears state. Whatever frequency you hold within, the outer world simply mirrors it back. If a person is truly at peace, the universe does not bring them peace. Everything merely aligns because they already are peace. If one genuinely lives in the state of I am enough, the universe does not rush to send opportunities, because that frequency is already radiating. The universe only reflects you. Saying, "Let the mirror smile first, then I will smile," is absurd. And so is living that way. When you shift inwardly, the reflection must change. Because the one who looks is no longer the same. The universe is never late. It only waits for you to become certain within. To step into the state of I have become does not happen through force, but through surrender. The mind grows silent. The heart quietly whispers, yes. And in that moment, you need no proof, because you know. The unseen has already begun to reveal itself. One morning you wake up, and with no visible reason, the heaviness inside you is lifted. A week later, a door you once believed impossible simply opens by itself. A month later, even the way people relate to you has changed. Yet nothing outside has truly changed. Only your inner focus has shifted, and the world responded to it. True transformation is silent, unshowy, so subtle that no one may notice. Yet its impact reaches the very fabric of the universe. Like a tiny stone dropped into still water, making the entire lake tremble. Your inner state changes the rhythm of the world. This is why you do not need to struggle to fix the world. You only need to shift your state of being. When you choose peace, the world softens. When you choose trust, paths open. When you choose love, everything that appears before you mirrors love back. And one day you realize, nothing was ever actually against you. Everything was simply there to awaken you. Every obstacle, a doorway guiding you back to your own creative power. Then you look back and feel gratitude, because you understand, not a single pain was meaningless. Each one brought you to the awareness you have now. And now, there's no longer anything you need to resist. For you finally see that reality is not a fixed stone, but an invisible current that shifts according to your consciousness. Wherever you feel the waters flow, you no longer ask, how will it happen? You simply say, I have become, and it does. For in the I am consciousness, time no longer exists. There is only now, and now is the birthplace of all creation. To live in this state is effortless grace. You no longer need to explain yourself to anyone, nor prove anything. There is a silent knowing within you. Even if a storm erupts, you feel stillness at your center. Because at the center, nothing is a threat. Everything is merely a reflection, and you are no longer identified with the reflection, but aware of the source. This journey brings one to the simplest truth. The universe is not outside. It breathes within your consciousness. It does not shape itself when you think, but when you feel. Each breath is a new beginning. Each realization, a new world. And when you say, I am, the universe has only one response. Yes, you are. Now take a deep breath. Silence the mind. Do not force anything. Simply remember, you are not the sum of your problems. You are the awareness that perceives them. And that awareness can choose a new reality at any moment. Everything begins with I am. And beyond that sentence, there are no limits. I want to point out that you are here not to sleep, but to wake up.